Welcome everyone to 3 Count Commentaries. I am the magnificent MagMongoSlade. Before we get into Monday Night Raw, I want to take a second to say rest in peace to Kevin Castle, who passed away. And unbeknownst to anyone, it was just kind of him personally. He really helped me out, not in doing anything, but letting me know that he was listening. And for somebody who had done what I aspired to do for as long as he had done it, him taking time out to leave comments or to tweet me really did a lot for my confidence and really kept me going when I thought no one was listening and when I thought no one cared. So rest in peace to Kevin Castle. Prayers up to his family, John Draper, all the guys over at Wrestling Soup, and Don Tony. All of you guys will be in my prayers. And I hope that we all can make it through this. So, again, rest in peace to Kevin Castle. Now, we got to get into Monday Night Raw. Okay, I gotta. Okay, let's get into this thing. All right. So, Monday Night Raw, April the 7th, 2025. We're still building a WrestleMania. They're just slapping stuff on this thing now. It's like goulash or gumbo. Just grab it out of the kitchen and throw it in the pot, man. You just grab this and throw it in the pot. Just grab that, throw it in the pot. I mean, it is what it is. We'll figure out how it tastes later. But right now, we just throwing ingredients in the pot right now. So they made sure to just let us know that there's a bunch of multiple man matches on this show. They're gonna stuff everybody on this. This show is a stuffed gumbo, overstuffed gumbo. You know, I don't know, man. It is what it is. We start this episode with Adam Pearce making official the Women's Championship Triple Threat match. Bianca Belair gets booed out of the building for being right because the fans don't care about right and wrong. They're playing favorites. For a long time, we've been saying that the crowd is the problem. And the crowd is the problem. They're immoral reprobates. The crowd should be listening to what Bianca Belair is saying. She won the Elimination Chamber. She is the number one contender. How does Rhea get into this match? There is no logical reason why Rhea Ripley is in this match. She was the champion. She lost. And then she did not win the rematch. Therefore, she should not get a championship match at all. But we're in this situation now. So Bianca just told the truth. Got booed. Everybody hates that. Rhea Ripley is indeed a whiner. Like Bianca Belair said that she's whining. And that's true. But now it seems like they're both whining. And the only one that's getting booed for whining is Bianca. At this point, Io gets frustrated. She spikes the microphone. They're still continuing to yell at each other. And she drop kicked Rhea into Bianca and walked off again. I think I've said everything that needs to be said about this silly triple threat idea. But I'm more, I guess you could say, I'm not even surprised because it's been going on for several weeks that the audience is against Bianca for literally no good reason. And it's weird how people respond to certain things. And it's the season, I suppose. This WrestleMania season has seen some really big heel turns with John Cena and Naomi, especially two very long time baby faces. Of course, Cena being a babyface since 2005, maybe even 2004. And Naomi pretty much working babyface for, it has to be at least 10 years. Maybe 5 or 6 at the most, maybe. And now, Bianca, who has never worked heel on the main roster, is being positioned as a heel on the main roster because she wants the championship match that she rightfully won to be unmolested. And the audience is turning her heel because Triple H insists on pushing both Io and Rhea Ripley into this match instead of it being one-on-one. We enter into what I call the Serpico principle. And here's the thing about what I call the Serpico. So to give you an idea of what this means, there is a movie called Serpico, but it's based off of the real life story of a police detective, one of the only non-corrupt police detectives in New York City during, I think, the 1960s and 70s. If I remember correctly, his name was Frank Serpico. So Frank Serpico wasn't on the take, but oftentimes was in a position where he was expected to be on the take. You know, to be a member of the team, to be one of the boys. In order to trust you, we got to have some dirt on you. And if you won't take, the drug money and put it in your pocket when we give it to you, you won't take your little tributes, you won't take your free lunches, you won't take all this stuff, well, you're a goody two-shoes. And we don't trust the goody two-shoes. And is that the situation we're in right now? It seems that's the case. That we've come to this point where we don't trust or we don't like Bianca because she's a goody two-shoes. We don't care that Bianca won the Elimination Chamber. We want Rhea Ripley in that match. We don't care that Rhea Ripley lost and she's not the champion and has no right to be in the match. We want Rhea Ripley in the match. It's now just complete and total irrationality from the audience, where they expect the wrestlers to be okay with rule violations, with a lack of justice. Justice meaning giving to people what is their due. And Rhea Ripley is not owed another rematch, is not owed another match for this title. But the fans do not care. They have decided they are the corrupt police officers. They're the corrupt police force. And they're going to force Bianca Belair through shame and booing to accepting this horrible position. And then ultimately on the show, she did exactly that by saying, okay, I'll go along with y'all. And I was like, no, she should have stood her ground and said no. In fact, she probably should have just quit and protest and said, fuck this, no, I'm out. There's, of course, she's not going to do that because it's WrestleMania. If it was any other show, then maybe. Very odd times that we live in. All right, so Finn Balor is flabbergasted because another Adam Pearce genius idea via Triple H is that the Intercontinental Championship will be defended in a fatal four-way match. Oh, Mongo, you hate triple threat matches? Well, yes, I do, actually. The Intercontinental Championship match will not be a triple threat match. Thank you very much. Instead, it's going to be a fatal four-way match. Four-way match. Finn Balor, Penta, Dominic Mysterio, Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. Finn is pretty upset about Dominic wanting to be the champion, but it wasn't Dominic's idea. It was Liv's idea. She's the one who went and planted the seed. Then Finn decided to tell Dominic that he's hearing that people are calling him a loser, saying he has no killer instinct, but he has the opportunity to prove them wrong by beating Penta tonight. And then, of course, he didn't do that. He lost to Penta, which everybody knew was going to happen. The match was okay. It was alright. I certainly think they can do better. They pretty much were holding back. After the match, Carlito, who said he had Dominic Mysterio's back, came out there and they jumped Penta, of course. Then Braun Breaker shows up, and let me tell you, this spear that Braun Breaker ran down this aisle and collided with Carlito, I think it changed his DNA. That hit, I'm pretty sure, instant CTE and probably turned his bone marrow inside out. It was Madden 2000 hit stick shit. That's what that was. Complete reckless abandon. All just... I almost grew a Don Fry mustache after seeing that. What a sight. Braun Breaker then finishes his dinner, takes out Penta, takes out Dominic, and then gets attacked by Finn Balor. Finn Balor poses with the belt for a little bit until Braun Breaker returns and he disappears. So let's talk about this, because now we're trapped with this fatal four-way business. For about 2 years now, WWE has been running with the story of Sheamus wanting to win the Intercontinental Championship. And apparently Sheamus got into some kind of accident and he won't be wrestling at WrestleMania anyway, but I think that's the case. If I remember correctly, he posted a picture where he had like bloody knees and all this kind of stuff. Who knows what's going on with him. But they weren't even going in that direction in terms of, hey, you know, we've been telling you guys for 2 or 3 years now about Sheamus and his Intercontinental Championship, his odyssey to win that belt. They just decided to throw that in the garbage. And the fact that Penta, the hot new star, could have challenged for the belt too. I mean, I know he just challenged for the belt a couple of weeks ago, but they decided not to go with that route either. Dominic Mysterio, who is the favorite, and who is, quite honestly, the star of this whole situation here, they have cooled him off. My God, compared to how hot Dominic was a year or two ago, he's nowhere near in the same stratosphere of himself a year or two ago. Dominic Mysterio used to be one of the most over heels in the company. He's still very good at his job, but the emphasis on other characters has diminished Dominic. For starters, he gets beat up all the time, which is fine as long as he's able to talk, but now he's mostly arm candy for Liv Morgan. He doesn't really do anything for himself, and he doesn't win ever. He's not competitive, really, in many matches that he's in. If he does get the advantage, he mostly gets comeuppance immediately, which actually works to a degree. But they're not doing the right thing with Dominic. You know, they let him get cold, or they're letting him cool off. That was a mistake. I'm not in favor of Braun Breaker dropping this belt, but if he's going to, I am in favor of it going to Dominic, because Dominic should have been the Intercontinental Champion probably a year or so ago. Or he should have just been the North American Champion for a longer period of time when he was doing that little bit of work in NXT he was doing. But ultimately, it seems to me that once again, Triple H is trying to sneak his favorites, this time Finn Balor, onto the WrestleMania card. Finn Balor has not won a singles match in forever. All right? I can't tell you the last person Finn Balor pinned in the middle of the ring, either with help or without. Now, when you look at this mid-card scene, Penta's the only one who wins matches in this entire thing. Him and Braun Breaker are the only people who win matches. Dominic Mysterio never wins. And Finn Balor never wins. So why are they in championship contention? Again, I just said that Dominic Mysterio probably should be the Intercontinental Champion. He should also be winning matches. He should be cutting promos. He should be out there so that people can respond to him. But now we're stuck with this. And the crazy thing is, Finn Balor, he gets the same amount of reaction as a bomb scare. It's unfortunate because I like the guy, but the crowd don't care. Same can be said for Lyra Valkyria, who defeated Bayley with a jackknife pin after she countered the Rose Plant. This was a solid match that the crowd did not care about. Neither girl got an entrance, to my knowledge. I believe like they came back from commercial. They both were already in the ring. Then it was silent as church for the first several minutes. The crowd eventually got into it. Lyra Valkyria took a belly to belly on the floor. She also landed a tornado DDT and transitioned that into a fisherman suplex. Interesting situation here. So Bayley had a Boston Crab, or as Michael Cole called it, a lion tamer. A high angle Boston Crab. Since Lyra didn't submit, Bayley was going to transition that into the Rose Plant, her facebuster finisher. And Lyra Valkyria just rolled her up from there in a jackknife pin. And she won the match. And the crowd was very happy. And Lyra Valkyria offered to shake Bayley's hand, and Bayley would not shake her hand. She left the ring instead, but then she turned around and came back and gave Lyra Valkyria a hug. These two will now be partners on SmackDown in the women's gauntlet thing that they threw together. Again, gumbo. Just throw it in there. Pizza and mashed potatoes in the same pot. Who cares? Ultimately, Bayley is in an interesting situation. Bayley has been... They said during this match she had not won a match in 2 months. The last person she had beaten was Lyra Valkyria. That's insane. Okay? It's insane. But these are the kinds of stats that we got floating around here with these mid-card titles. Finn Balor never wins. Dominic Mysterio never wins. And Bayley did not win a match in 2 months. And she gets a championship shot. Jesus Christ. And we're talking about the creative is so good. Creative is so great now. Come on, man. It's pathetic. Utterly and completely. But here's the business. You know Triple H is going to sneak Bayley onto that card. The question is, how is he going to sneak Bayley onto the card? My answer to that question is that he will, no doubt, have Bayley turn heel on Lyra Valkyria on SmackDown, leading to another Intercontinental Championship match, either the week of WrestleMania or at WrestleMania proper, in which case Bayley will win the title. I said it before that Lyra Valkyria won the championship on January the 6th. She has only defended the belt 3 times in those 90 days. 3 times. Dakota Kai, Ivy Nile, and Bayley. That's it. That's the list. That's been her entire run. I just saw, somebody posted the list of Cody Rhodes has been WWE champion for 1 full calendar year. He's had 8 title defenses. 8 title defenses. Oh my goodness. Look, every title can't be defended the same way and can't be defended every week. I get it. But this sporadic title defenses where guys go weeks and weeks and weeks without defending the belt is unconscionable. You forget that they even got it at that point. It just becomes a thing that they carry around and not a thing that people actually want. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, you should at least give people matches just for TV, just to pop the TV. Because why not? Lyra Valkyria can be wrestling other people and just to pop the TV, just to get her name out there, to do something, to show some personality. But no. Instead, they're going to put her and Bayley on a tag team. And they better not win that match. Even I don't expect them to. I expect Bayley to turn. Because they've already teased it now. So, it's that's the next step for them. AJ Styles challenged Karrion Kross to a match because Karrion Kross is in his business with Logan Paul. I don't understand this either. I'm not even going to pretend to care about this. El Grande Americano is over in Minnesota. People like this character. El Grande Americano with his loaded mask cheats to defeat Dragon Lee in the LWO versus American Made 6-man tag. Fun match with the luchadors jumping all over the place, doing a lot of flips and dives. American Made was there for them. It all looked good. So Chad Gable, El Grande Americano, he won again his second match. He's winning. He's winning matches, y'all. Look at this. Unfortunately, it's Dragon Lee who's doing the losing, which I don't like. I mean, you could have pinned Joaquin. You could have pinned that other guy. You had to pin Dragon Lee. I got to take my cape off for him, for God's sake. But here is the situation. Rey Mysterio goes to Adam Pearce and wants a match with El Grande Americano at WrestleMania. And did not ask for it to be mask versus mask. But he gets the match. So Chad Gable, because that's who that is, is going to get a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. And so will Logan Paul. But Roman Reigns is not. Bianca Belair is not. But Braun Breaker is not getting a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. But a Chad Gable and a gimmick mask is getting a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. Make it make sense, man. Make it make sense. Anyway, here's hopefully that they upgrade that match to mask versus mask. That way they can end the El Grande Americano gimmick almost immediately. Unless they're going to have that guy win. If they're going to have Chad Gable win in this mask, and that's probably not good. That's not good for the WrestleMania stage. Okay, maybe not. If it was any other show, like a Clash of Champions or something, Great American Bash, then probably you could have Ray lose via cheating. But WrestleMania, he probably should go ahead and beat this El Grande Americano guy. Alright, so Gunther and Jey Uso had a promo segment where Jey was being serious while the audience wanted to yeet. And that's all they wanted to do was yeet. And they didn't just want yeeting, to be quite honest. They also wanted Jey Uso to put his hands on Gunther. And he was so close to the man that you really don't have a good reason why he didn't put his hands on Gunther. But to summarize Jey Uso's promo, Jey Uso's family is questioning why didn't he protect Jimmy? Where was he when Jimmy got those stitches in his head? And he said he had to admit to his mom that he was scared. That he was scared of Gunther because Gunther has always been playing chess while Jey has been playing checkers. But now he has never been so pissed off. After this violation of his family, the light bulb went off. He realized he's not scared anymore. Then he says the day before WrestleMania, he's going to pray. He's going to pray to God for forgiveness for the man he's going to need to become to finish Gunther and to win the World Heavyweight title. This was an awkward promo, not because of what Jey was doing. Jey was trying to tell stories in the promo. Asking Gunther if he had a family, he had a mom. Do you talk to your mom? What do you and your mom talk about? Food, dinner, clothes, stuff like this. I had to talk to my mom about my brother having stitches. And why wasn't I there to look after him? That's the parallel he was trying to play. It took us forever to get there because people kept yeeting and kill him, Jey! You need to cut his balls off, Jey! Kill that guy! And at least the second part, I'm like, yeah, you probably should throttle them at some point. He didn't, though. And Gunther is really good at being extremely cocky. When Jay's theme song plays, he took his jacket off, his suit jacket, and rolled up his sleeves. He was ready to fight, But Jey Uso took so long to get into the ring, then Gunther's will to live just faded. I think that's how he's going to beat Gunther at WrestleMania. He's just going to have his theme song play, and it's going to play for 50 minutes, and then Gunther's just going to get tired and fall asleep. And then Jey Uso's going to hit the Uso splash in 1, 2, 3, 30 seconds. Because he fell asleep during Jey Uso's entrance. Anyway, I liked the promo. I thought the promo was solid. I thought it was really good. This is the Jey Uso we need to see. It wasn't quite the right-hand man, which, they're trying to bring some of those elements in because a lot of people are starting to get frustrated with this forever yeet Jey Uso. It's too much, and the entrance is getting entirely too long. And it was fun at first, but now it's becoming too much. So giving him more of an edge to his character was needed. Him snatching off his Yeet sunglasses and throwing them was needed. But at the same time, I feel like he probably should have at least tried to attack Gunther. Or as soon as Jay got in the ring, Gunther should have fled. He should have powdered. And then he should have talked to Gunther as Gunther was walking away. Or that they had the what Cody called the invisible wall. So that Jay doesn't actually, chase Gunther. My issue is always going to be when you're that close and something that emotional just happened, you guys should probably be fighting. I mean, it only makes sense for you to fight unless there was some kind of agreement that you would not fight. And maybe if Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce, was standing out there between them and saying, no, these guys are not going to fight, then maybe that would make sense. But that didn't happen either. So they're trying to get people back on Jey Uso's side by dipping into elements of the right-hand man, which everybody liked. Next, New Day win by disqualification over the War Raiders in a useless tag team championship match. This Tony Hinchcliffe guy was on commentary for this. He was terrible. Whenever a comedian is not funny, it's literally like bland food. You're really just not good at your job. And I understand it. And this is why I don't think comedians should be involved with stuff like this, is because he probably had some real funny jokes that he could have used, but probably would have offended some people. So he didn't use those. Instead, he just stuck to calling Michael Cole old. And then he made one spicy joke about Big E's neck. I think he said something as stiff as Big E's neck or something like that. And I saw people absolutely having a meltdown over that one line. I didn't think too much of it, but I did kind of smile at it. Same time, though, he just wasn't good. I mean, clearly he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not a color commentator for a pro wrestling show. But he really didn't want to. He didn't really add anything. He didn't really add any personality. So, I mean, the only point of him being there was to promote the WrestleMania roast thing, I guess. But he's an anti-draw, if you ask me. Like him sitting there being real bad for 10 minutes. Like, you can't come up with 10 minutes of material. We gonna sit here listening to your dumb ass for 2 hours or whatever. No, thank you. Not at all, brother. But also his inflection, the way he speaks, very reminiscent of certain people. I'm not saying nothing, but I'm saying everything. You feel me? Okie dokie. I don't care about the tag team championship. Nobody does. So the main event of the show was Paul Heyman. He was in the ring, and here comes Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins wants Paul Heyman to remove himself from this scene and told Paul Heyman the truth. Roman didn't help you in Solo, and his bloodline attacked you and put you through a table. They made you miserable. Roman Reigns wouldn't even answer your phone calls. Why are you so loyal to him? CM Punk walked out on you, talked bad about the company that you worked for, tried to destroy everything that you were building. When he came back, you didn't get to come back with him. And when he came to WWE, he still didn't call on you to join him. So you should just leave. You don't owe either one of these guys anything. You should just leave. And then when Paul did not leave, Rollins decided he was going to up the ante, saying it would be easy for him to make Paul leave. All he's got to do is give him a little stompy stomp and he's out of there for who knows how long. just long enough for him to finish the job at WrestleMania. Heyman is not interested. CM Punk runs to Heyman's side. They fight. Punk ends up getting stomped by Seth Rollins. As Paul Heyman tends to Punk, he's down on his knees in perfect position for the Rollins stomp. And Rollins comes running to that side of the ring, jumps in the air, and stops short. Paul Heyman was so nervous, he starts to sweat beef tallow. And Paul looks up at Seth, and Seth grabs the microphone and says, "Now, Paul, you owe me a favor." Now, that's not exactly how favors work. Usually somebody has to offer to owe you a favor. But I get what he's trying to say. And generally speaking, he let Paul live, so Paul owes him one. But I like this promo segment only because it finally justifies Rollins to be involved in this situation. But it doesn't really tell us why he's in the match. It just says, hey, Rollins is noticing things. He's noticing things. He noticed that, neither Punk nor Roman helps you in your darkest hour. Neither one of them has anything to do for you. They don't answer your phone calls when you're down and out. Hey, he's given Paul every reason to not like or not continue to do business with both Punk and Roman. But, and a lot of people want this, I'm not sure if there's enough leverage there for Paul to leave with Seth, which is what a lot of people want. This is quite weird, but that's the argument now. The argument is that Rollins should win this match, and that Heyman should help Rollins win this match, and that Seth Rollins should be a Paul Heyman guy. Look, we've tried just throwing guys with Paul Heyman before, right? Now, Rollins is a guy where, yes, if you wanted to put Paul with him, that could work. Seth Rollins has the kind of pedigree that Paul Heyman would be down for and would be interested in. It would add a certain level, a certain dimension to the Roman Rollins story, as well as the Punk Rollins story, especially since these seem to be the stories that are going to be moving forward even after WrestleMania. They're not going to actually put a period or an exclamation point on anything. More than likely, it's going to be, if it's going to happen, when Paul decides that he's going to leave with Seth and give Seth his guidance. Then we got to feud that with Rollins and then Rollins and Punk again. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. Still would have preferred for this match to be one-on-one, but I think they did finally justify Rollins being there. Him being the one guy who noticed everything, when in reality it could been that Punk noticed that Roman never helped, and then Roman saying the same thing, you never helped either. But the option of Paul just walking away by himself and saying, I'm out of here, and just leaving, well, Paul's always been attached to somebody. And that's his greatest strength, is he needs to be attached to somebody. And Seth Rollins, for now, as a way of getting out of the bloodline story of Roman losing it all, which is what Rollins wanted. Rollins wants to get rid of the entirety of the bloodline, and Paul is the last thing left. So there is that motivation to recruit Paul and to get Paul to owe him a favor. Same time though, the money match was Punk and Roman. There's just no two ways around it. There's just no amount of ducking and dodging or shucking and jiving you can do to escape that fact. The fact is, Rollins, while making a serious case for himself to be the next Paul Heyman guy, I'm not sure it'll work. You know, it didn't work for Cesaro. It didn't work for Ryback. It didn't work for Curtis Axel. You know, it worked for Brock because Brock needed somebody to talk for him. It worked for Punk because Heyman truly believes in Punk. I'm not sure if or how Paul can elevate Seth. It would be interesting, but I don't think we should just spread Paul around like mustard. You know, it should really mean something. And it is true that Paul has not picked up a new Paul Heyman guy in quite a long time. And Rollins is a main event guy, and it would not hurt Paul's legacy for him to be involved with Seth Rollins. That's all very true. It's just I'm not sure what the end game of all of that is. What is the end game of Paul joining with Rollins to fight Roman? What is he going to seek to do to Roman? Retire him? What is he going to seek to do to CM Punk? Run him out of the company? Because that's what Rollins wants to do. Rollins wants to end both Reigns and CM Punk. Why would Paul help him do that? Even if Paul was frustrated with these guys, would he really go out of his way to help Seth achieve such a scorched earth policy? I don't know. It's an interesting talking point. It really is. But I don't see how it really elevates Seth Rollins. You know, Seth Rollins is already at the pinnacle of his career. He's actually barely holding on. If it wasn't for Triple H being in power, Rollins would probably be stuck in the middle of the card somewhere like he was in 38. You know, I think he peaked in 2019. You know, I'm talking about Seth Rollins now. I don't think that there's anything more you could do with him that could make him potentially interesting. I mean, Triple H was with, you know, Rollins for a while, and that was his mentor. I don't know how trying to say now Paul is his new mentor changes matters, especially when they're so stingy with the big W and the big gold belt. I just don't see how it can really help him. You know, maybe that's the idea. Maybe you have Rollins take the belt from Jey Uso, you know, and Paul Heyman's like, hey, you know, I have all this inside information on the bloodline, and you want to be world champion, Seth? I can help you with that. You know, I can help you take that belt off Jay. I guess. It's all right. It's kind of flimsy. I guess it depends on the execution. But that seems to be the prevailing belief, is that Seth Rollins is going to become a Paul Heyman guy after WrestleMania. But to me, it feels like the John Cena heel turn all over again, where people want it. They say that they want it. They're fantasy booking it in their heads. The company is willing to do it, but they're not willing to follow through. You know, like there was no mention of John Cena today on this show. There was a video package of a Shabuzi song. Somebody told me it was Shabuzi. But there was no John Cena via video to respond to getting hit with a crossroads. There was no Cody. There was nothing. Just nothing. The WrestleMania main event. And the guy's going to be off TV for the next 2 weeks. At least I think so. Nursing one crossroads and nothing else. I'm befuddled by this WrestleMania build. I really am. Flummoxed every single week at how incompetent Triple H is. Even if it's just, you know, Dwayne coming in and calling shots, even if that was the case, it doesn't excuse why the rest of the card is so weak. Even if, you know, The Rock, Dwayne, as Meltzer calls him, even if he is fidgeting with the main event guys, you know, Cody and Cena, even if The Rock is fidgeting with that, that has no bearing on all of the Roman Reigns stuff, the CM Punk stuff, the Seth Rollins stuff, all of the mid-card titles, etc., which The Rock is not fiddling with. And all of that stuff is in complete disarray. We're just throwing stuff in the pot and hoping it boils correctly, and then when we're ready to eat it, it'll be done. I don't know. I mean, you added 3 WrestleMania matches to this one show, and all of them sound thrown together and not very well thought through. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think, though. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys again. Peace.
Skin tone, so why attach yourself and piggyback the wealth you didn't earn or lack yourself? I'm telling you to own up to your own success and failures. It's a reason why these sleazy guys